cooperative farming in the Philippines. So I'm going to change up the feeding a little bit here. So this is going to be their last evening feeding, and all of these fish now are on grower. They're all big enough to be on grower now. Well, they have to be big enough to be on grower because I'm running low on the starter, and so I've got plenty of grower, and so that's what they're getting. What are these dogs stirred up about? Neighbor's dogs barking at something. So anyway, this cage, I don't know what happened to the, it seems like there's not so many fish in this one, in this second cage. I'm kind of forming the opinion that when we put the fish in this cage, they were too small, and a lot of them escaped. I think that could have been a lot of the fingerlings that we were catching out of here were from this, because we put this one in right after we did this one, right? And then like 10 days ago we put this cage in. And I can clearly see, because I've been feeding all three of these cages for, let's say, 10 days now, that this cage here, well, it just eats twice as much. There's twice as much activity when I throw the feed in. There's just more fish in it than there is in this one. And so we'll know in 4 months' time, because that's when this one is going to be harvested. We'll know if there was an escape problem. Of course, the fish in this cage have no problem whatsoever getting plenty to eat. But anyway, what I'm going to do is, so they've had their fish food feeding. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go up and get the duckweed now, and I'm going to put it in there so they can eat it at their leisure overnight. I'm thinking that it'll last a bit longer because they were just fed fish food, and they'll have something to snack on overnight. And my thinking is that the less aggressive fish get less feed, because it's kind of a feeding frenzy in there, and the most aggressive fish get most of the feed. But I'm thinking if I put the duckweed in after they've eaten, so they're not ravenously hungry, that the less dominant fish will have, they can at least fill up on the duckweed if they're not fighting hard enough to get the fish food. So that's the way I'm going to do it moving forward. It's still going to be the same amount of duckweed overall, but it's just a slightly different feeding time. Whereas I was giving it to them basically for their noontime meal, I'm going to be giving it to them now as their evening meal, make it through the night meal. I don't know if you can tell, but I put quite a bit more in this first box than I did before, and spread it out healthily in the others as well. The balance is basically to give them all they can eat overnight, but not so cover the surface of the water so there's not oxygen exchange between the water and the air. I can tell the way that they're eating it there that that's not going to be a problem. And they're doing, they're eating it. I'm surprised they're going at it as much as they are, because they've basically just been fed like 15 minutes ago. Although I will say there's not that much activity in the last cage here. But this one, there's quite a bit, and they're just going crazy in this first one. It's leading me to think that I'm gonna have to, well, I could do it in my head. I should probably capture 10 of the fish out of that, weigh them. I can say that I'm feeding them about twice as, 3 times as much as I was when I was first putting them in. I'm guessing by the look of them, they're between 75, they're probably 75 grams. So it's hard to say, though. There's so much damn duckweed in there now, and I really wasn't paying attention before. And you can see there's still a lot of fish outside here, and they like that duckweed as well. So 75 grams times 500 fish. It's about 5 kilos of fish in there. And feeding them 5% a day would be 2.5 kilos. So that would be 2 of those containers. And yeah, I'm gonna have to up their feed. I've been feeding them, well, 2 of those containers was split between all of these. So they're gonna be dedicated 5 kilos of feed per day. Or, well, maybe even, well, it'd probably work out to about 2.5 kilos for all the fish per day. But I'm going to catch some of those and do a real biomass calculation and adjust their feed accordingly. But I can kind of tell now by how they feed when the feed is thrown in there. Are they still hungry? Are they full? And I can tell by the way they're eating that duckweed that they were still hungry, because they are not playing around. They're eating it. And they can only eat so much of that because it's not dried, it's wet. And so that'll fill up their stomachs pretty quick. But they'll crap it out pretty quick too. So they'll eat it quickly. I'm digging these fish. I'm glad we're back into the tilapia. I like it. I enjoy it. I would enjoy it more if we had a better dedicated place to grow the duckweed rather than that round tank. The round tank will suffice for now, but eventually it's not gonna produce enough duckweed for the 6 cages that we're gonna put in here. We're gonna have to make that area over there work. All we can do is keep catching fish out of it until we think we've gotten to the area to the point to where we've got enough fish out to try the duckweed again. Thank you, everyone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.